Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Exodus chapter 9, we get a very important understanding about God. In verse 16, God told Pharaoh, "But I have raised you up for this very purpose, that I might show you my power and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth." This means, through the Pharaoh and through these plagues, God showed two things: His power and His name. Firstly, let us try and understand God's power. You see, the Pharaoh used his power to oppress the slaves, but God used his power to free the slaves who were groaning to him. God always uses his power and even the plagues for the right things. Secondly, God used this evil Pharaoh to show his name. That means God's character. Notice how evil this Pharaoh was. He did not want to free his slaves because he wanted to use them to build his cities and work in his fields. These slaves were a huge advantage to him. But in contrast, God showed that he cared for these helpless slaves. That is why he did not get tired with this Pharaoh, stop the plagues after some time, simply go away and forget the slaves. Friends, our God cares for the weak. When the poor cry out to him, he comes to their aid. That is his character. In this chapter, we also see how God is gracious. Before the last plague in this chapter, God told Pharaoh in verse 19, "Give an order now to bring your livestock and everything you have in the field to a place of shelter, because the hail will fall on every person and animal that has not been brought in and is still out in the field, and they will die." Did you notice? God was telling Pharaoh how his people can escape his judgment. And in verse 20 it says, "Some Egyptian officials feared the Lord and brought their animals and people from the outfield and were saved from the plague." God showed that he was gracious even to Pharaoh while judging him. In verse 15, God told Pharaoh that he could have completely wiped him out from the face of the earth, but he did not. Friends, God is not just one angry, mindless, revengeful dictator. He uses his power only to save the weak. And he is gracious even when he judges the powerful. One last thing, and this is about Moses. In verse 29, Moses told Pharaoh, "When I have gone out of the city, I will spread out my hands in prayer to the Lord. The thunder will stop and there will be no more hail." Unlike the Pharaoh, Moses spread out his hands in prayer. In 1 Kings 8:22, Ezra 9:5, Isaiah 1:15, 1 Timothy 2:8, we read that believers pray to God by lifting their hands to God. Friends, God is the real power in the world. He is the real king. He uses his power to help the weak, and he gives grace even when we are disobedient like the Pharaoh. And we can also spread out our hands in prayer to him, accepting and acknowledging that he is the real king.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.